Can I say, we have a cracking morning this morning. For the next 2 hours, we have three, I think, of the most interesting speakers you could imagine. Firstly, we have an Indian entrepreneur come manager who has an extraordinary vision for business. Then we have the man who runs Daimler and who's known as the affable German with the walrus moustache. And he's going to be terrific. And then after that, we have the president of CITIC, which when Deng Xiaoping opened up China, CITIC was created and has been a great institution in wealth creation in China. But first of all, back to Yogesh Chanda Deveshwar, who's, I'm told, known as Yogi, as in Yogi Bear. Mr. Deveshwar is an engineer by background from the Indian Institute of Technology. And from 1968 until the present, other than a brief period of 3 years when he ran Air India, he's been with ITC, a company with a market cap of about 18 billion US, a turnover of nearly 5 billion, and very diversified. Cigarettes, hotels, paperboard, specialty papers, packaging, agri-business, packaged foods, confectionery, information technology, branded apparel, personal care, stationery, safety matches, and other things. So quite what the other things are, I don't know. But it's an extraordinary company. He is the chairman of ITC, and he's had a very distinguished career apart from running ITC. He's a former president of the Confederation of Indian Industry, former chairman of the Society and Board of Governors of the Indian Institute of Management. He's been a governor of the Indian School of Business, on the National Executive Committee of a number of key trade and industry bodies in India, and he's a member of the CEO Forum, which was set up by the governments of the US and India. He's received endless awards, and he's been recognized as an entrepreneur for his role in sustainability and for his role as an entrepreneur. Mr. Deveshwar, or Yogi, it's a great pleasure to have you address us. Thank you very much.
Lord Griffiths, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I must say that what a great privilege it is for me to come to this prestigious symposium at St. Gallen. For the last couple of days, I've been most impressed with what the students' body has done along with the foundation and Andreas. There is a lot to learn in terms of management here, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. And thank you very much, Lord Griffiths, for a very flattering introduction, which was, I think, contrived by us and delivered to you. This is a subject that I am quite passionate about. The whole idea, the whole exploration of global capitalism and local values, and then derive from there the subject that I'm going to speak to you about, of the role of business in building not only financial capital, but social capital and natural capital. But before one does that, I want you to touch base with me on the kind of challenges that our world faces today. Mankind faces two major challenges. One is growing inequality. UNDP recently brought out a report which said that top 10% of the global population own 85% of household assets, and the bottom 50% of the global population owns only 1% of global assets. Over the last day, we've been talking about what progress markets have brought for our world, I'm sure the top 10% have been greatly rewarded by markets, and that markets hopefully are still working for the bottom 50%. But I think we need to redefine markets. The second challenge, and is the global warming challenge, that of sustainability. Even before we've been able to get our capitalism and markets to work for everybody and bring up their quality of life, we're now confronted with a huge problem of global warming, which is likely to exacerbate poverty and this sense of inequality. And both these, there is, of course, alienation in many sections of our society, leading to terrorism. Extreme alienation leads to terrorism and leads to insecurity in our global society. And both these elements go to make our society unsustainable. But now the question is, what role does business have in all this? You know that the global challenges are so large that it requires every organ of our society to work hand in hand and shoulder to shoulder to be able to deal with these problems. But I believe that business has some special resources, not only the financial resources, but the ability to innovate, the capacity to manage and to organize and to harness resources. And I believe, therefore, that business can play a very major role. But what do we need to do for that? We need to redefine its role. We need to redefine its value proposition. We need business to not only be accountable for the shareholder value creation in financial terms, but we need business to be held accountable for service to society, for the triple bottom line performance. I believe that creating social capital and creating natural capital or conserving natural capital is equally an important role of business. But I'm not going to talk to you about theory today. I have the unique privilege to bring to you a real-life example. And this example is from my company called ITC Limited. So I'm going to present to you a case study for ITC Limited. This company operates in India. Therefore, I'd like to first begin with giving you a context of India. India is 18% of global population. It has 2.4% of land mass, 4% of water resources, and only 1% of global forest resource. Although it has a high rate of growth of 9% witnessed in the last 3 to 4 years, and lots of people are talking about India going to be in the leading part of the global community in times to come. But we have 300 million people who live then less than $1 a day, and that constitutes 27% of the world's poor. 60% of India's workforce still derive its livelihood from agriculture and account for only 18%, 60%, 18% of the GDP